Hi everyone, this is a short video just to explain about what happens in the event of a bubble closure. Now, for those of you who have been in and around schools, you'll have heard that Year 2 from Yenton shut down in the first few weeks of school being back, and in Year 6 at Robin Hood we also had a bubble closure. Now, our thought processes initially with that was that we would push out work centrally from my school via the Oak National Academy, and the children would pick up that work, and then the teachers would offer additional work, but essentially Oak National would be the basis for that work. Now, through feedback and through the Year 2 and the Year 6 teachers being really open and providing great feedback to us, what we came to the conclusion was that Oak National actually created us problems, because when we're pushing that work out, the Oak National stuff is okay, and that's the key word, it's okay. It's too generic, and so for our children they disengaged with it because they found it somewhat boring, and they found some of the lessons in there, they were too long, and they weren't seeing their class teacher. So across the Year 2, the first bubble down, the Year 2 teachers, they started setting their own slides, and that was a really good way forwards. And so they had already done their planning, and they were pushing out slides. That worked. By the time the Year 6 bubble at Robin Hood went down, we'd started to learn about how to use Google Meets and how that would work, and how we would record and put videos out via Google Slides. And so the Year 6 team then really innovated and started sharing personalised videos of their learning, and they pushed it out to the children and had a much better impact. So we came up with a new way forwards for bubble closures, and Joe's going to come and explain exactly what that means and how that looks. So I'm going to hand over to Joe now for a little bit of information about bubble closures.
Hi everyone. When the bubble closed, the things we've really learned is that the iSchool didn't work, as Steve said. So we're now thinking that the best solution is to switch back to a system similar to the way we had it in lockdown, where your own Google Classroom kicks in and you deliver content that's more specific to your children. So in order to sort of manage workload, the idea behind that will be, the focus for you guys will be on delivering an English lesson. It'll be focusing on the core and signposting to topics. So delivering an English lesson, the idea behind that is you'd use your normal slides that you'd be using in a lesson in school, but we're going to ask you to do a video narrative to go along with that. Now, the details about how to do that will follow in an email that you're going to get tomorrow with some more support material. Ellie's going to come on in a minute and explain how she used that in the Year 6 lockdown at Robin Hood. So focusing on that, what will happen with the maths then is that Faye will then look at the maths topics that you're delivering during that close down, and she will match in the White Rose material that you can attach to assignments that you can use. Now, obviously, if you think that Maths Rose, the White Rose stuff isn't appropriate, you're more than welcome to provide some materials yourself to support with the maths, but the expectation is you focus on the English, and the White Rose is there for your maths. The only other thing we ask outside of that is that you then signpost children to, in Key Stage 1, perhaps some phonics, some Mr. Thorne phonics, and then in Key Stage 2 to our topic lesson, which can be some of the stuff that Faye's put together for science, that maps against your science, or another subject. But the expectation is you're not putting effort into that, it's just signposting. The only other thing outside of that is that we want you to take stock of who's submitting work and who isn't, and we're going to provide you with a template where you can just record the children that are not accessing work and just making some phone calls to sort of nudge them in the right direction. So it's really simple. Delivering core, focus on the English. Faye's going to signpost you to White Rose Maths, then it's just signposting to phonics or a topic outside of that. And then just keeping a tab on who's doing it and who isn't, and making a few phone calls. Ellie's going to come on now from Robin Hood Year 6 just to explain a little bit about how she managed that in the bubble closure, and how that sort of shifted her thinking into producing the videos or the slideshows with some video content to engage the children a little bit more. So I'm going to hand over to Ellie now.
Hi, so my experience of the bubble closure was, first of all, we had our lessons that were planned for that week already, and we uploaded those onto our Google Classroom. And we found that very early on in the time with the children off, that some children were sort of struggling and putting comments on the stream and saying, oh miss, I don't get this part of a maths lesson, or don't get this part of an English lesson. So then we thought, okay, how can we explain this in person to them? And that's when we thought, right, we'll start trialling making little clips of videos just to sort of model different parts of the learning for the children. So we were then able to put those on really, really easily onto Google Classroom. I'm not very tech savvy, and it was really easy for me to do. I'd just do a short clip, pop it on, and then I'd say to the children, okay, you're stuck, have you watched this part of my video? They then watch it, and then most often the children were saying, oh, I get it now, miss, thanks for that. Sometimes we were phoning parents and checking in and saying, you know, how are they getting on? And the parents were giving really great feedback to us. They were saying, you know, they really struggled before the videos, and now it's just like they've got their teacher explaining it to them. So for me, the main purpose behind that was just to sort of really support the children with their learning. But yeah, it went pretty well, so thank you. Yeah.
So, hi everyone, it's Faye here. So I've just come to just explain what will happen when a bubble returns to school. So lots of you will probably be concerned that not all the children may have accessed work at home, or some of the children might not have understood some of the stuff that they had. So what we've done as well, and it'll be in the information that you're sent tomorrow, we have produced a recovery curriculum, which basically simply means that for the first 2 weeks that the children return back to school, that you can reduce some of the wider curriculum content. So we've asked that there'll be an emphasis on the maths lessons, because that's progressive and children need to have been taught something and understand that before they can move on to the next step. So it'll primarily be on the maths. If you're in Key Stage 1, it will also be on the phonics. So it might be that you use your normal maths and English lessons to recap some of the things that you've done during lockdown, and then have additional sessions in the afternoon where you can either recap things, extend learning, and then over the course of the 2 weeks, it will help you get back in line with your medium-term plan, so that you're in line pretty much with what the other schools are doing. Again, on the information you're given tomorrow, there will be a template and an example of how this might look. But please feel free to talk to SLT in your school, because it can be flexible. Again, I know the Year 2 bubble at Yenton have done it slightly differently to the Year 6 bubble at Robin Hood, and that will be based on how many children are engaging in your children. But just so you know, in that first 2 weeks when they return, there will be a bit of flexibility with the wider curriculum to allow you to catch up. Right, I'm just going to hand back to Steve now.
Okay, so hopefully you've got a good background, and to summarise, the bubble goes down, you'll be informed that your bubble is closing. From there then, Faye will be in touch around the maths and aligning it with White Rose, and if you feel that you can do better than White Rose, you're more than welcome to. You need to focus on the English, your Google Slides and embedding a video, and then if you're in Key Stage 1, it's signposting to phonics. I mean, you're welcome to film some phonics if you think that's appropriate. We know there's a difficulty there because we've got children on different phases in terms of what phonics they're on and where they're on in their learning. So we know there's a complexity to that. And then you signpost them as well to a non-core subject. Now, you're welcome if you wanted to signpost them to some of your topic that you've already got planned. That's okay, but you don't have to. The other thing to mention is that when Ellie talked about the videos that were there to support learning, what was really great about Ellie's and the Year 6 team's videos were they were a maximum of 10 minutes long. Okay, so when we're saying you've got to produce this video content for the English, and maybe if you want to do it for the maths, sort of 5 or 10 minutes. You know, just seeing a teacher give a narrative around the learning for that short period of time is so powerful. And when we spoke to parents and we took some survey feedback, the biggest thing is that the kids were seeing the class teacher and the class teacher was explaining it. So it made it a personal process rather than with Oak National or even with White Rose. It's, you know, it's somewhere that's produced somewhere else, isn't it? And it isn't the class teacher that is staying in touch. So we just wanted to highlight that to you. We hope that makes sense. Now, the final part of this video is not to talk about bubble closure. We've done that in the first part of the video, and you've seen I've had a change of clothes since then. This part is to talk around iSchool, and if you remember, we were building Iris videos and we wanted to record people teaching their classes, because that was going to be the way we were going to then help all those kids who are individually shielding. So if you got 3 or 4 kids off in your class, they would be the ones who would tap into iSchool. And we were going to start videoing after October half term people's lessons, and we're going to use Iris. Now, we've tested that out, and what we've come to the conclusion is that people were getting quite stressed using the Iris initially, because there's lots of factors, i.e. 30 children in your class, that are quite hard to, you can't always control those factors. The editing took a little bit of time and whatnot as well. So what we've come to the conclusion is that, a bit like we're asking you to do for the bubble closures, those short videos of 5 or 10 minutes, we need a bank of people who are going to offer to produce those day in, day out, week in, week out, for a specific lesson, like for English or for maths. Okay, so we really need some people to do that for year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And that's what Thursday's meeting is. I've sent all teachers a Zoom invite. Thursday's meeting is an invite to come and hear more about that, because what we're going to ask people to do is we're going to ask you to record those 5 or 10 minutes if you sign up on Google Meet. You'll just be populating your slides that you've already made for your class anyway. And so you'll be offering that narrative to it. And then we will push it out via iSchool for all children who are independently shielding to be able to access. So you would either do that at the start of the day, you would do it at the end of the day, or when you're planning your series of lessons and you're building those slides, you would do the short 5 or 10 minute videos as you go along and do it that way. So there's a number of ways that it can be done. And we want to talk more about it with everyone on Thursday and in the Zoom meeting at 4:30. So even if you're only 20% interested in this, can you come along to the meeting just to hear more about it and to understand what we're trying to do, and to see whether you might be interested in signing up? You see, the more people we get signing up for it, the better. And it's totally stuff you can control. It'll take 5 or 10 minutes to do a video per day. And the good thing is, if you don't like it, you can delete it, you can re-record it, and it's just you sat in front of your computer doing the recording. So it's pretty simple. It's not like you've got to set things up with your whole class there. So if you are interested, you want to make a bigger difference to the MAT, then please do come along to that meeting. We need people who are going to go above and beyond, and we need people who are going to contribute wider than just to their classes, to other children in the MAT. That's what's made us a success so far. That's what made the learning projects a success and the C2I teams a success. So if, like I say, you're only 20% interested, then I ask that you come to the Zoom meeting tomorrow, which is Thursday, and come and have a listen. I promise it'll only be half an hour. We'll also record it and recirculate it for everyone as well, just in case you can't make it. And then we'll be asking people to officially state their interest and sign up. Thanks very much.